You're exhausted, like genuinely tired. Your eyes are heavy. Your body feels like it's made of concrete, and all you've wanted since 2 p.m. is to just lie down. So you finally do. You get into bed. The lights are off. It's quiet. And there you are, drained, heavy, ready for sleep to take over. Every part of you is begging for rest. So you finally do. You get into bed. The lights are off. It's quiet. The room is still. The conditions are perfect. Everything says it's time to sleep. And then, nothing. Your brain just turns on. Thoughts start racing. You're suddenly replaying that awkward conversation from 3 days ago. You're mentally drafting emails. You're thinking about things you forgot to do, things you shouldn't have said, things you're worried about tomorrow. You're suddenly replaying that awkward conversation from 3 days ago. You're mentally drafting emails. You're thinking about things you forgot to do, things you shouldn't have said, things you're worried about tomorrow. The mind just won't let it go. You check your phone, it's 1 a.m., then 2 a.m., and somewhere around 3, you finally drift off, only to wake up feeling worse than before. The hours just bleed into each other, and sleep never really arrives the way you needed it to. And somewhere around 3, you finally drift off, only to wake up feeling worse than before. Sound familiar? You open your eyes to the morning and somehow feel more exhausted than when you lay down, like sleep happened to you, but didn't actually help you. Here's the thing most people don't realize. This isn't a sleep problem. Not really. It's a cortisol problem. And until you understand what cortisol is actually doing to your body, and more importantly, why, you're going to keep spinning in the same exhausting loop. I used to live in this loop for almost 2 years. And the frustrating part? I was doing everything right. I was going to bed at a reasonable hour. I wasn't drinking coffee after noon. I had a sleep playlist. None of it worked because I was treating the symptoms, not the cause. So today, I want to walk you through exactly what the cortisol trap is, why it happens to so many high-functioning, hard-working people, and the 3-step exit that actually helped me and can help you break free from it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why your body is working against you at night, what's keeping your nervous system stuck in a state of false alertness, and 3 concrete, science-backed steps you can start using tonight. Not next week, tonight, to start reversing the cycle. No supplements, no expensive gadgets, just the right understanding, applied in the right order. Let's get into it. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. Think of it as your internal alarm system. In the morning, it rises to wake you up, sharpen your focus, and get you ready to move. At night, it's supposed to drop, handing the baton over to melatonin so you can actually rest. That's the design. At night, cortisol is supposed to drop, handing the baton over to melatonin so you can actually rest. That's the design. It's a beautifully timed handoff. Cortisol clears the stage, melatonin steps in, and your body eases into recovery. That's how it's supposed to go. The problem is that modern life keeps pulling the fire alarm all day long. Deadlines, notifications, difficult conversations, scrolling through news that makes you anxious. Every one of those things tells your body not safe yet. Stay alert. And after months, sometimes years, of this, your cortisol rhythm gets flipped. Your levels stay elevated into the evening right when they should be falling. So your body is physically wired for alertness at bedtime, even though every other part of you is screaming for sleep. That's the cortisol trap. Exhausted body, wired brain. And the worse you sleep, the more stressed you feel the next day, which raises cortisol again, which ruins the next night. It's a cycle that feeds itself. The first step is what I call decompression, and most people skip it entirely. This is where the exit begins. Not at the moment you climb into bed, but much earlier in the evening with a deliberate choice to start winding down. Here's what usually happens. You're working or scrolling or watching something stimulating right up until the moment you decide it's bedtime. Then you expect your brain to just switch off. But that's not how nervous systems work. Think of it like this. If you've been running a machine at full speed all day, you don't just cut the power and expect it to be cold in 5 minutes. You wind it down. The gears have to slow. The heat has to dissipate. Your brain works the same way. You need a decompression window, ideally 45 to 60 minutes before bed, where the input stops being stimulating. That means no work emails, no social media doom scrolling, no intense shows or podcasts that spike your emotional state. What does work? Dim lighting, slow, quiet activities, a short walk, light reading, something gentle, not a thriller, journaling for 5 minutes to offload whatever's still circling in your head. The journaling piece was a game changer for me personally. I used to lie in bed with a mental to-do list running on loop. The moment I started writing it all down before bed, not to solve it, just to get it out, my brain seemed to relax. Like it trusted that the list was safe somewhere and it didn't have to keep holding it. This is step 2. And this is where most sleep advice misses the mark entirely. We're not just talking about better habits here. We're talking about actively speaking to your nervous system in a language it actually understands. Telling someone with elevated cortisol to just relax is like telling someone having a panic attack to just breathe normally. The advice isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. Wanting to be calm is not the same as giving your body permission to be calm. Your nervous system has two modes: fight or flight sympathetic and rest and digest parasympathetic. When cortisol is high, you're locked into the first one. The goal isn't just to want to be calm. It's to give your body a physiological signal that it's actually safe to shift mode. And the most effective, underrated way to do that is controlled breathing. Specifically, try the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. The extended exhale is the key part. It directly activates your vagus nerve, which is like the master switch for your parasympathetic system. Do this for just 4 or 5 cycles and you will feel your heart rate start to drop. It's not magic, it's biology. The vagus nerve is your body's built-in off switch, and the long exhale is the exact signal it's waiting for. Another powerful tool is cold to warm contrast, by which I mean finish your evening shower cooler than usual, then wrap yourself in something warm immediately after. That temperature shift mimics what your body naturally does when entering sleep, and it helps signal the transition. These aren't just habits, they're physiological cues. You're speaking your nervous system's language. Here's the one most people don't expect. Fixing your nights starts with your mornings. Step 3 is about rebuilding your cortisol rhythm from the very beginning of your day, so that by the time night comes, the drop happens naturally, just as it was designed to. Cortisol follows a rhythm, and you can actually train that rhythm to work in your favor. The single most powerful way to do that? Get bright natural light into your eyes within the first 30 minutes of waking up. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but the research on this is solid. Morning light exposure sets your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, and directly influences when cortisol peaks and when it drops. When your clock is calibrated, everything else aligns more naturally. Think of it like resetting a metronome at the start of each day. Get that first beat right, and the whole rhythm follows. Also, delay your first coffee by 90 minutes after waking. I know. Hear me out. When you wake up, cortisol is already naturally elevated to help you get going. Wait 90 minutes. Have the coffee. You'll actually feel it work better, and you'll reduce the artificial spikes that throw your rhythm off later in the day. Stacking caffeine on top of that high cortisol window actually blunts its effectiveness and contributes to the afternoon crash, which leads to more fatigue, which leads to more stress, which loops back into bad sleep. Wait 90 minutes. Have the coffee. You'll actually feel it work better, and you'll reduce the artificial spikes that throw your rhythm off later in the day. A couple of things to watch out for. First, don't try to overhaul everything at once. I've seen people go from 0 to a 12-step bedtime routine and burn out on it within a week. Pick one of these 3 steps and apply it consistently for 7 days before adding another. Progress is built through repetition, not ambition. Second, be patient with your rhythm. If you've been in the cortisol trap for months, you're not going to fix it in one good night. Your body needs time to recalibrate. 2 to 3 weeks of consistent effort is a realistic expectation. Don't abandon the approach after night 2 just because it wasn't perfect. And third, if you're waking consistently between 2 and 4 a.m., that's a specific signal worth paying attention to. That window often indicates your blood sugar is dropping overnight, which triggers a cortisol spike to compensate. A small, balanced snack before bed, think something with both protein and a complex carb, can sometimes help with this. But if it persists, that's worth a conversation with a doctor. Not everything can be solved with habit changes alone, and there's no badge of honor in ignoring a signal your body keeps sending. Persistent symptoms deserve professional guidance, and that's not a failure. That's just being smart about your health. Let's bring it together quickly. The cortisol trap happens when chronic stress keeps your cortisol elevated at night, wiring you for alertness precisely when you need to rest. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that sleep hygiene tips alone can't break. The 3-step exit is this. 1. Create a real decompression window in the evening. Wind down the inputs before you try to shut down the brain. 2. Actively regulate your nervous system using breathing and physical cues, not just hoping to feel calmer. 3. Rebuild your cortisol rhythm from the morning through light exposure and smarter caffeine timing. These work together. They're not quick fixes, but they address the actual cause, not just the symptoms. Most sleep advice lives above the surface. Masks, playlists, supplements, this goes deeper. It targets the root, and that's the only level where lasting change actually happens. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Your body is not broken. It's responding exactly as designed to the signals you've been giving it. Change the signals, and it will change the response. That's not wishful thinking. That's physiology. Start tonight with just the decompression window. One thing. 45 minutes before bed, put the phone down, dim the lights, write 3 things that are still on your mind. Just that. See what happens. If this helped you, share it with someone who complains about bad sleep. Chances are they're stuck in the same trap and don't even know it. And if you want to go deeper on nervous system regulation and how your daily habits shape your energy, subscribe, because that's exactly the kind of thing we talk about here, simply and practically every single week. You've got this. Rest is not a reward. It's part of the work.